Hi everyone! In this video, we will explore how dynamic F&B minimums unleash the full power of TripleseatDirect, saving you time by further automating workflows and improving the guest experience by ensuring consistency and transparency. Dynamic F&B minimums are customizable amounts that can be set up based on location, event style, room, time, and day of the week. This pricing customization recognizes that a minimum for a Friday night on the patio will significantly differ from a Monday afternoon in the dining room. While minimums can also be set on individual TripleseatDirect forms, having dynamic F&B minimums configured will be able to apply to your location, rooms, event styles, and dates and times based on how your guest fills out the form to book their event. To set up dynamic F&B minimums, you must be a user with settings access. Heading into my settings page, I will click on Advanced Location Settings and then go to the F&B Minimum tab. Similar to setting up rental fees, I must select my location from the drop-down menu, which prompts me to choose an event style. If I select on-premise or large party reservation, I will be prompted to select a specific room. The pickup, drop-off, and full-service catering event styles do not have room selections. Finally, I want to determine if my F&B minimum amount will be calculated per hour or as a static flat rate. When choosing a rate, it's important to know that I can only use one type per event style or room. If I am setting up minimums for pickup or drop-off catering, I can only use the flat rate for my F&B minimums. I will set up the different F&B minimums for my lounge area when renting it out for large party reservations. Once I select the rate type, the F&B minimums grid will appear, and I can begin adding amounts for each day of the week. I will click Add to create a new minimum for Sunday. I will need to provide a start time and end time for any minimum I create, as well as the desired dollar amount. I will create an F&B minimum for my weekend brunch, so I will add the time frame and then enter the minimum into the text box. While I can have multiple minimums within a day, F&B minimums are not able to overlap, so when I go to add another and click on the time frame, I will see that I am unable to choose any time between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. I will create another F&B minimum for Sunday night and repeat the same process. I can also copy minimums from another day to save time when I have days with similar F&B minimums. Since I also offer brunch on Saturdays, I will copy my minimums from Sunday to Saturday. To do that, I will navigate to Saturday, click Copy From, and select Sunday to see the exact two minimums populated for Saturday now. My F&B minimum for Saturday night is obviously going to be more than Sunday's, so I will change the amount. If I need to delete any F&B minimums, I can select this red trash can icon to remove them. I'm going to finish adding minimums for the rest of my weekdays for the lounge for large party reservations. When done, I want to make sure to save my changes before doing anything else, such as jumping over to another room or event style. Once everything has been saved, I can continue creating my minimums for other rooms or event styles. Once saved, these new dynamic F&B minimums will apply to newly created events only. No changes will be made to existing events. Now that these have been configured in my overall settings, the next step is to indicate which menu item categories and billing details should contribute toward the F&B minimums for my TripleseatDirect events. Your site's customer admin will need to configure this, as location-based details do not include billing details in F&B minimum configurations. It is essential to set this up properly. Going back into my settings, I will click on Configuration underneath TripleseatDirect. To see the billing details section, I will need to have all locations selected in the drop-down menu. Only Customer Admin will be able to edit this All Locations section for configuration. Location Admin can only edit their specific locations configurations. Scrolling down to the billing details, I will see that each event style has its own tab where I can choose which applicable billing details are applied to each event style, as well as the option to enable the room rental on the billing widget for on-premise and large party reservation. At the bottom of this section, I can also restrict my F&B minimums to specific menu item categories and choose which billing details I want to apply toward the unmet minimum. This needs to be configured for each event style separately. As this setting applies to all locations in my group, it is recommended to choose all of the menu item categories that I believe would be applicable, even if some locations don't have a certain menu item category. For example, Lakeview Grill counts staffing charges toward the F&B minimum for my events, but Lakeview Portland doesn't even have staffing as a menu item category. I would still select staffing here since my TripleseatDirect documents will know to apply it only if the guest selects the appropriate location in the TripleseatDirect form. The same logic applies here for the unmet minimum applied billing details. I will want to select all of the applicable taxes and fees, even if I have locations with differing billing details. When the inquiry is submitted, TripleSeat will see which location it was submitted for and know which billing details should be applied to the unmet minimum amount. If you have any questions about configuring the F&B minimums here, please contact our support team. It's also important to double check and ensure that your menu items and packages have the appropriate menu item categories applied to them, so they will correctly apply to the F&B minimum when a guest selects items to add to their inquiry. Once I've finished configuring these menu item categories and billing details for each event style, I will click Save at the bottom of the page to update my settings. By setting up F&B minimums in advanced location settings and further configuring them in my TripleseatDirect settings, the process of booking events through a TripleseatDirect form is more automated and transparent. Guests can now see the exact taxes and fees that will be applied if they fail to meet the minimum with their initial selections. It is important to note that the form minimum section on TripleseatDirect forms is still available to use, and if an amount is entered for any of the event styles, that number will override any rates saved on the F&B minimum tab in advanced location settings. To default to the minimum rates that were just configured, I would want to either leave these fields blank or enter a 0. An important difference between these two types of minimum spending options is that any TripleseatDirect form using the configured amounts in advanced location settings will not require the F&B minimum to be met in order to complete a TripleseatDirect inquiry. Minimums set on the form level will still require the full minimum to be met if skip menu selections is not enabled. On my standard TripleseatDirect form, I have set specific minimum requirements for my catering options. I have left the on-premise and large party event styles blank, so those will defer to the F&B minimums I previously set up in advanced location settings. I have also toggled off skip menu selections, so now if a guest selects any of the catering event styles for their order, they will need to ensure their selections meet the minimums outlined here. If they select on-premise or large party reservation, they will still be able to see the F&B minimum amount outlined once they select their date, time, and room. But if they don't make enough menu selections to meet that minimum, they will still be able to continue on to submit their order and see the breakdown of the unmet minimum. I can still utilize skip menu selections for the form minimums and the configured F&B minimums. If the guest chooses to book without selecting anything from the menu, they will still be able to see their unmet minimum amounts, and it will also be utilized to calculate a deposit if I had those set up in my configuration tab. When using a TripleseatDirect form for large party reservations, I want to be careful when turning on the skip room selection option. If I have this toggled on, I will want to ensure I have a form minimum set for large party reservation below. If I do not do this, the guest will not have any minimums that they need to adhere to, since F&B minimums are set by room for large party reservations. If I am updating any forms to align with my default F&B minimum amounts, I want to click Update at the bottom of the page to save any changes. Now when a guest submits a TripleseatDirect inquiry that has dynamic F&B minimums, They will automatically see this amount appear on both the event details page as well as in the event's TripleseatDirect documents in the billing widget. When I click into the event, I can see the F&B minimum display under the financials section, as well as the F&B minimum balance amount. The calculated label next to my event's minimum opens a secondary window where I can see all of my preset F&B minimums. This is a great tool to use if I'm working on this event and my contact decides they need to change event details that may impact the F&B minimum. For example, if my contact was booked in the lounge and later decides they prefer the private dining room, I can simply click on this label rather than navigate back to settings to find out what the new F&B minimum will be. I can select the new room from the dropdown and easily locate the new F&B minimum to input. This pop-up window is read-only. If I need to make any edits to my F&B minimums, I need to do so in advanced location settings. Since TripleseatDirect automatically creates a set of documents once an event inquiry has been submitted, the changes to event financials, including the F&B minimum, can only be updated within the documents. In the Docs tab, I will click into the TripleseatDirect template and scroll down to the billing widget. Here I can see the F&B minimum field where I can input my new minimum if my contact decided to go with the private dining room for their event. In addition to seeing the minimum outlined on the TripleseatDirect form, the guest will also be able to see the F&B minimum calculator on the event order and invoice documents. When reporting on my event's F&B minimums, I can use the TripleseatDirect details report and customize it to give me the exact information I need. In the Financials tab, I can choose a range for my F&B minimum if I need to filter by a certain dollar amount. I can also sort my report by the F&B minimums and include several different columns relating to my minimums in my reports within the Financials column group. Having these F&B minimums set up correctly and using them in my reporting can help me find trends like whether a specific room isn't booked because the minimum is too high. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about dynamic F&B minimums or need help setting them up for your TripleseatDirect location, please contact the support team, support@tripleseat.com, or by clicking on the Help Question button on the top right page of any screen in TripleSeat.